Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What's up, guys? In today's video, we will be doing the daily puzzle of February 7th. Let us get started. We look at this position and we see that it's white's turn to move, and we have a bishop for, for 2 pawns. Okay. But the most important pawn is the A pawn, and it's 2 squares from promoting. And the c5 pawn is blocking us from taking the pawn in a3. So we gotta find a way to stop the pawn. And we gotta find a way. Let's see. Well, what if our bishop was on e5, threatening to take the pawn in d4 and to stop the bishop in a1? But the problem with that is the king could just take on e5. But what if we just follow up with king takes e5 with moving our king to box the king up? Because if you visualize this, if the king is on e5, the king's squares are very limited. He can't go to d6, d5, or to e4. And the only squares available for him is f5, f6, and f4. So if those squares are blocked and we give him a check, it's game over. And in this position, if the king is on e5 and our king is on g5, then he has no squares. And if you play a1 queen, we checkmate you with the pawn to f4, because the king is on e5. We push the pawn 2 times because it hasn't moved to f4. It's defended by the king, and the king has nowhere to go, so it's checkmate. Let's try this out. Bishop to e5, sacrificing the bishop. If the king does not take and goes a2, for example, then we'll just take the pawn in d4 and stop the pawn, and we'll win this game. If the king takes the bishop, which is the only move for you to promote, I play king g5. Now the squares of the king are now the king has no squares to go, because the d6, d5, e4, f4, f5, and f6 squares are blocked, and he has no way to free up a square for him. So the only moves in this position are either b5, b6, or a2, which the only logical move is a2, or even b6 if you want. Anything you do in this position, it will result in f4 checkmate.